Hello. I started reading this today, which means it is time for the Owlcrate book box vlogs to start. For these, I currently have 15 Owlcrate books, if I'm not counting the ones that are in the NPR Best Books. If I'm counting that one, I have 16. But for this first vlog, I am going to do the books that I have specially ordered for the most part. So I have specially ordered the majority of this series. I did not order the one that follows this one because I heard not great things about this series. I started listening to this one today and I don't personally have any issues so far. I'm not sure what the issues people were having were, but I've liked it. I unfortunately don't think I can tell you much about this without spoiling it because it's technically like a follow-up duology to the first duology. So this is following characters that are in the first duology, but like events that are happening after the first duology, and it's not the same people from the first duology. So this one is following Misha and her, I'm assuming, what's going to end up being her love interest. So I'm not going to give you like a synopsis or anything of this just because I don't want to spoil the first duology, but so far I'm liking it. I'll show you the other books that I'm planning to read for this one. So with that one, I can't remember if it came with this one or if this was like a separate order. This is not directly tied to the Crowns of Nyaxia series, but it is supposed to be like set in the same world, I think. And I was really enjoying the first duology, or not the first duology, the first one, and then the novella that technically goes between the first and the second one. And then I didn't really love the second one of the first duology, so I had ordered this already before I read that. And I haven't even opened this one, but this one is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I think it's technically related. I think it's maybe like the same world as Six Scorched Roses, which was the novella that goes between the first duology books. It wasn't really related either, but it was set in the same world and it gave us like some background on the politics and things like that. So I'm going to try and read this one in this vlog, hopefully. And then I also have, I think it goes that way. I have Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which I special ordered. These were not in one of the boxes. And I ordered this because I was really enjoying the Shadow and Bone trilogy. The third one in that was also a letdown for me. Whatever. But I ordered these to match the trilogy that I have from them. So I am going to try and read these 4 books for this first vlog. I kind of expect to keep all 4 of them since I special ordered them, but we'll have to wait and find out. I have one more that I special ordered, but I have not read the first one, and that one came in the box, like as a random pick. So I'm not counting that one in this vlog, but that is The Enchanted Greenhouse, which is the follow-up to The Spell Shop. I really need to read those 2 soon because I just found out that the series has a 3rd one coming out next year, and with how successful these 2 have been, I'm assuming that they will do a special edition of that too. So I would like to read those 2 before that one comes out so that I can be positive that I actually want it. But yeah, I think I made it to like chapter 9 or something in The Songbird and the Heart of Stone today, and so far I'm enjoying it. I do think I want to try and read physically while I'm listening so that I can follow a little bit more. There's just so many names and some words that are like difficult to follow without having them in front of you. So I think the reading experience may be better if I have it in front of me, but we'll have to see if I can swing that. So yeah, this is the first one. I will say, of all of the book boxes I've had, I think I have kept the most from Owlcrate. I did just start a subscription to the Owlcrate Horror Quarterly box. They come out, I think, November, February, May, and maybe August. I think those are the months that they come out. So they're offset with Evernight. The only issue with it is Owlcrate doesn't allow you to skip their quarterly boxes. So if they end up having like a repeat with Evernight, then I'm pretty sure I can skip Evernight, but I can't skip the Owlcrate, so I have to take my chances on which edition I want. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see how it goes. I'm thinking that I will only keep it for a year for now and see if, one, the books are books that I like, and two, if their designs are as cool as Evernight's. I think those will be the deciding factor, because I really don't need 2 subscriptions that do the same thing, which I guess that means I don't need both Owlcrate and illumicrate either. So I'll have some tough decisions to make by the end of this, I think. But yeah, with that long intro, I'll check in with you again when I have more to update you on with this book. Hello and welcome back. I am coming at you probably like a week after my initial introduction, first clip, whatever it was, I don't remember, and I finished The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I still can't really tell you much about it because I'm not positive what people will think are spoilers. So I am just going to leave it at, I gave it 4 stars. I'm not sure why the people I know who DNF'd it did not like it. Maybe it just was the wrong time, wrong book sort of situation. But I gave it 4 stars. I really liked seeing Misha's background and how she ended up where she was, and learning more about her god, which is like the primary focus of this. Actually, we learned more about all of the gods. So I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to accidentally spoil the first duology for anybody. And yeah, I do not have the second one of this, but Owlcrate had a pre-order for the second one. That's kind of why I wanted to read this one so soon, because I wanted to know if I should get the matching copy or not. And I did end up buying the matching copy. I think it was like $45 after shipping and stuff, which is kind of wild. But that doesn't come until January, I think, is what the order form said. So I will be reading Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I have not decided if it's going to be in this video or not. It is technically related to these 2 books, but it's not, or these 2 duologies, but it's not, supposedly not the same people. I'm not really sure. I don't know anything about it other than it is related to these duologies. But I have started Six of Crows. I am not reading this copy. I have the ebooks for both of them. I had them before I bought these, but look at how tiny this print is. I feel like I would get a migraine trying to read that. So despite these editions being very pretty, I don't know if there's anything on the inside. Despite these editions being very pretty, I will not be reading the physical editions. This is the naked hardcover. And then the end pages. Pretty sure they're the same, front and back. And then the dust jacket does have a reverse side. So yeah, I am reading this on my e-reader, and for some reason this series is going so much slower than the first one did. I'm not sure why, but I am only like 10% in, and I've been reading it every night for over a week. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, or what's going on with my bangs, if I'm being honest. This is annoying. yeah, I am intrigued by it. I'm not sure that I'm liking it as much as I liked the original trilogy when I started reading that one, but it's like the same world, different people. So maybe the more I learn about these people, the more I'll enjoy it. I don't know. Those will probably be the last books in this video. Like I was saying, those would probably be the last books I read for this video if I don't get to Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which it's pretty thick. So I'm not sure if I will get to it in this video or not. And that will leave us with, I actually don't know how many, quite a few. But I have the audios for most of them on hold, and a lot of them have already come in, and I've just suspended them until I'm ready to actually read them. So I hopefully will be able to make quick work of the Owlcrate books. I also wanted to give a little update on Evernight. So I did that one earlier this year, back in like May or something. And since then I have gotten these two. I finished this one last week as well. I'm not positive if I'm going to keep it or not, but I'm almost done with this one. And I think I'm going to keep this one. It depends on how the ending goes. This one is probably the darkest book that they've given out so far. I think it's pretty close to Bat Eater and The Eyes Are the Best Part. The level of gore in those two was kind of a lot for me, and I think there's even more gore in this one, which is why it's taking me a while to get through it, because I'll read like 30 to 50 pages and then something really awful will happen and I'll put it down. But regardless, Evernight is still going strong. I think I gave this one 4 stars. It was just difficult to follow on the audio, so I kind of want to try reading it physically again at some point. Not anytime soon. I kind of just want to let the story ruminate and maybe forget about it before I read it again, but Evernight's still going very well. And I think that's it. My mom had been visiting for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't really recorded anything, but I have been reading a lot. Fall Into Steph. Stephanie Bookish recently changed their name to Fall Into Steph. She had Cozy-a-thon, which was a week-long readathon in November over the week of Thanksgiving. It's still going on right now. Tomorrow is the last day, but I've finished the bingo board for it, and I've finished quite a few books this week. So yeah, I'm gonna go finish You Weren't Meant to Be Human, and then the next time you see me will be with an update for Six of Crows. Oh, what I was going to tell you about my mom is we just got back from dropping her off at the airport. We spent a lot of time watching movies and YouTube and stuff together, so I might read more. I don't know. I read quite a bit compared to what I usually read while she was here, so I might actually read less than what I had been reading. But anyways, I'm gonna go. Hello and happy Thursday. It has been probably, I don't know, like over a month since I first updated you on this. I have since finished Six of Crows, and I did not give you a single update because I was traveling the majority of the time that I was reading it, so I wasn't really recording anything. I ended up enjoying this enough. I'm going to keep going and do the second book, but I don't really know what it was about this that I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as Shadow and Bone. I think the characters in this series are much more interesting than the characters in Shadow and Bone, and I would have thought that the plot line was like the mystery and the heist would have gripped me a lot more than Shadow and Bone did, but for some reason I just didn't get into it as much, and I wasn't nearly as attached to the characters and the plot as I was with Shadow and Bone. So this is following Kaz Brecker, I think is his name. Kaz Brecker, and then he has like 5 other, they're not agents, they're members of the Dreg, which is the, I don't know what to call it, the guild that they're in, the crime guild that they're in, and he is tasked with retrieving a man who has created this drug that only affects the Grisha, the people who have the magic powers. And so we are following them as they go and retrieve this man from one of the highest security prisons in their world. And it was interesting. I'm not saying that it was a bad book. I don't think I disliked it. I just had a really hard time getting into it, and it honestly could have been my mental health at the time. December is a really hard month for me and my family, and I just really wasn't feeling the holidays this year, so that could have been part of it. I think I started it back in November though, so I don't know. Maybe it was that it took me so long to read it. Maybe it was that I was reading it before bed and I would get through like 5 pages before I fell asleep. I don't really know. All that to say, I'm going to continue, read the second one. Here's the second one, Crooked Kingdom. It is quite a bit thicker than the first one was, so I'm a little worried about how long that one's going to take me, and in turn how long this video is going to take. And then I have this one to read after that. I am trying my hardest to find an audiobook for this, simply because the text in these editions is so small. It's really difficult to focus on when I'm physically reading. So I'm either going to get the audio, or I might try and get an ebook from the library so that I can have an easier reading experience. I haven't even taken this one out of the plastic. That's like how little attention I paid to it. But I am excited for this. I ended up really enjoying Misha's book. I think I talked about that in the vlog, but I haven't posted it. Hopefully that'll go up before this one does. So, yeah. This is not about Misha. This is like it's too big to be a novella, but it's like a companion to the series. And it's supposed to go in between Misha's books, which I have ordered the second one in Misha's story from Owlcrate. So that will be coming, and we'll probably get a video for it. But yeah, that's the Owlcrate update. I don't have numbers right now to tell you. I think I will do that before the end of the video though. So you will get to know how many Owlcrate books I have left by the time this video is done. Hi again. I just finished editing all of the clips that you've seen so far last night, and now I need to close out the video because it is now May and I haven't talked to you since like February. I think the last thing I talked to you about was 6 of Crows, which I finished. I have since finished Crooked Kingdom, the second one, and I have also finished 7 other books since then that are Owlcrate books, which means I am down to like 8, I think, total. So I need to do like a little wrap up of what I felt about these books and where I've been, why I haven't like kept updating you regularly like I was before. I guess regularly is a relative word. I was updating you like every couple months. But essentially I had my surgery back in November. I think I started recording this around that time, and I was making good progress. I was reading a bunch of my special editions, but things have kind of shifted since the beginning of the year, and I am now more focused on just reading what I have, not focusing on like where the books come from. But that is largely due to my ability to get the audiobooks from the library. So I put a bunch of them on hold. I'm actually maxed out on all of my holds on all of my cards right now, so I can't put anything else on hold. But I am waiting for quite a few of them to come in. And I've gotten quite a few of them, as I'll show you in just a few minutes after I finish telling you where I've been. I just kind of fell off vlogging. I don't really have a reason why, if I'm being honest. I still like vlogging, I still like editing them. I've actually edited quite a few of the ones that I recorded last year and never got to. I think maybe the reason I stopped was because I was getting overwhelmed by the amount of footage that I had and the very little time I had to edit. And I've gotten better now about building some time in, making sure I'm editing. I'm spending less time on my phone, so I have more free time in general. And now I am down to, I think, 2 vlogs, neither of which are complete, I'm pretty sure. One of them is a magical readathon vlog, I think from last April or maybe last August. It might be the fall one. And then a failed 24-hour readathon from this January, which I think I'm going to take that footage and then attempt another 24-hour readathon in probably July when I have time off, maybe June, we'll see. I have Juneteenth off in June, but it's a very busy time, so I may end up spending that weekend catching up, and then July has multiple holidays. So anyways, I'm going to talk to you about the books now. Like I said, I did finish Crooked Kingdom. This one took just as long as Six of Crows did for me to read, and I'm still like on the fence of whether or not I want to keep this series. I did enjoy this one more than I enjoyed Six of Crows. I'm very angry about something that happened towards the end of this. I'm sure if you've read them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They didn't deserve that. Just so we're clear. The story could have ended in a different way. We didn't have to have that happen to them. But I am on the fence. I really liked the way that these books look, and I did really enjoy Shadow and Bone. But these just didn't hit for me in the same way Shadow and Bone did, so I may end up getting rid of these. If we move, it'll probably come down to me getting rid of them, because I don't know that I want to move with these. So this is like a maybe. Yeah. I did not read the vampire books. I never got to them. I think I read Misha's first book earlier in this vlog, and I liked that, but I have not gotten to Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, or I can't remember the title of Misha's second book, but I have both of them. They're over there. They're in my count of books that I still need to read. I think in the last clip I talked to you about potentially reading The Spell Shop and Enchanted Greenhouse. I did read both of these. I read both of them last month, I believe, and I can't remember if it was a buddy read. I don't think it was a buddy read. I think maybe Enchanted Greenhouse was a buddy read, but my mom had already read The Spell Shop. So these books focus on a magical world. There's like a main city that both of the main characters are from, and the rebels are rebelling. And in the first book, our main character is fleeing from the library because they have come to burn down the library. So she packs up as many of the magical books as she can and she flees. She goes to this island where her family is from, and she ends up living in her parents' house. And people who are not warlocks, maybe, I'm not sure, I can't remember the word for what they are, but basically you are not allowed to do magic unless you are given permission to do magic in this world. And so she is like illegally doing magic to improve the house and to like make jam and do all of this other stuff for the people on the island, and that's the main thing. She's pretty much helping this island that has been abandoned by the Empire with her magic, and she's doing so illegally. So people start coming around and sniffing about, trying to figure out if she's doing things illegally or not, and the rest of the book is about whether or not the townspeople decide to protect her, and if she gets away with it. Whereas the Enchanted Greenhouse is about another person in this library. She I forgot to mention, in the Spell Shop there is a talking spider plant, I think. His name is Kaz. And we find out in this book who enchanted him and who made him able to talk. She is the main character, and she was turned to stone and was set to live out her entire life as a stone figure in the library. And people would like point to her and be like, that's what happens to you if you do magic illegally. And when an island full of greenhouses requests help from the library because all of the spells in the greenhouses are failing and the person who was keeping them up died, one of the main librarians sends our main character in hopes that during the rebellion this will go unnoticed and no one will figure out what happened to her, and she gets to be free because not everybody agreed that she should be turned to stone. So that's about her going to this island and helping this man with his greenhouses. Both of these had romance in them, and I'm not the biggest fan of the romance in either of them. It felt kind of forced to me in both, but other people have liked it. So if you want a cozy romance fantasy situation, I would say pick these up. There is a third one coming out this year, and I think a fourth one just got announced for next year. The third one is focusing on a character that we meet in this one, I think. She might have been in the first one too. But she is a ship captain who is going back and forth to these islands that we're on. And I don't know anything other than that about the third one, and I know absolutely nothing about the fourth one. So those were very good. I will be keeping both of them and ordering the next one as long as Owlcrate does it, which I think they did announce. I think I need to go back for a minute. This is the one that I read in between all of the ones I've already talked about. I think I have this marked as finished in December. I am contemplating not keeping it. I do like T. Kingfisher, but I tend not to enjoy her retellings, and this one, A Sorceress Comes to Call, is a retelling of The Goose Girl, which is not a fairy tale that I've ever read, so I actually had nothing to compare it to. I enjoyed this one okay, but it's been 5 months since I read it, and all I can remember is that this is about a little girl with an awful stepmother, or maybe a mother. I don't remember if it's her mom or stepmom. It's her mom. Her mom does not allow her to have any friends, and she is a sorceress. Yeah, basically her mom is a sorceress, and she is abusing her daughter. So her daughter goes on the run, and it's about that. I don't remember a ton of it. Like I said, I don't tend to get on with T. Kingfisher's retelling, so I may end up getting rid of this one. I do like T. Kingfisher's horror quite a bit, and I do enjoy this book design. You can see it has a goose on the edges. And then on the inside, it's got a lot of foiling. It's like a purple, like a lavender foiling on a red cover. Lots of butterflies and stuff. And then this is the inside of the dust jacket. So yeah, this one is another maybe. So this one was back in December. Crooked Kingdom I finished in March or April, I can't remember exactly when, and then The Spell Shop and The Enchanted Greenhouse, I finished both of them in April. Then after that, I listened to the Teller of Small Fortunes. I've already talked about this one quite a bit in my wrap-up because I kind of forgot I needed to talk about it here, but this is about a woman who can tell larger fortunes, but she decides not to because of something awful that happens during her childhood, and she blames herself for what happens, essentially, herself and her powers. She becomes a traveling fortune teller and ends up meeting some people along the way that she helps, and this is about her helping them. It's very cute, very sweet. I described it as my perfect cozy fantasy. I think it has the perfect amount of stakes. They aren't too high, but not so low that it doesn't really matter if anything happens with them, and it's all about friendship and the people you meet along the way, essentially. And I haven't actually looked at most of this book, so I'm going to show it to you because I just looked and it looks very beautiful. This has like a phoenix on the front cover, the title, then the back. So everyone deserves a home. That's very sweet. I really like the edges. There are cats. The cat becomes very important to the story. And then the end papers are beautiful. I tend to have issue with the end papers on a lot of these special editions because the cartoon style is just not, for me, it's not something that I like. But that one, I like that one a lot. And then just the outside of the dust jacket by itself is so beautiful. So needless to say, this one is a definite keep. So right now we are at 2 maybes, 3 keeps. I can't remember, more than 3 keeps actually, because the other ones I've talked about I think I ended up keeping. But I don't have them here with me. After that, I read Upon a Starlit Tide by Kel Woods, also in April. This one was a Little Mermaid retelling. I've read something else by Kel Woods, I think it was called After the Forest maybe, and it was a Hansel and Gretel retelling. And while I was reading this one, I ended up realizing that I actually enjoyed After the Forest a lot more than I thought I did. I was remembering a lot of things from it while I was reading this one. And I ended up keeping After the Forest. Actually, I don't think that was the shot that I wanted to show you. This is the shot I wanted to show you. Yeah, so after I finished this one, I ended up changing my mind and deciding to keep one of my copies of After the Forest, which, lucky for me, both of them have been listed for quite a while and neither have sold. So I could go in and pick which one I wanted to keep. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I think it's based more on the actual story of The Little Mermaid, not the Disneyfied version. It was pretty dark. Anyways, that brings our total to 4 keep, 2 maybes. I think I also talked about that one more in my April wrap-up if you want to hear more about that. But the next one that I read was And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I wasn't really sure if I should include this one in this video or not because this one and I can't remember the title of the first one. First Time Caller. This one and First Time Caller weren't ones that came in my box. I had to special order this one, and then my mom actually gave me her copy of First Time Caller because she got one from this and one from Illumicrate's romance box. She has since canceled her Illumicrate box, and I think she also canceled this one. But I was able to get access to And Now Back to You through general sale, or I guess the subscriber sale. I don't subscribe to Owlcrate romance, but I am a general subscriber, so I get access to these sales before the general public does. This was my perfect romance. This is a definite keep. I really liked First Time Caller, but this one just hit different for me. This is like everything I want in a romance. And I have a degree in meteorology, and this is about 2 broadcast meteorologists, and they actually got most of the details right. So that was a big plus. So that brings our keep total up to 5. And then this next one is a little bit of a sneak peek for May's wrap-up because I just finished this yesterday. That was Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. This is the same author as Emily Wilde's, I can't remember the titles of those books, the Encyclopedia of Fairies and the Compendium of Lost Tales or something like that. It's a trilogy, I think. There might be a 4th book coming. This one is about a different character, a different world. I'm not clear on where they're at. They speak French a lot in it, but it's very clear that they are not in France because they say that it would take a very long time to get to Paris multiple times. But this is about a woman named Agnes who runs a cat shelter, if you couldn't tell from the title, and magicians blew up her home, essentially. So she had a place that she was running her shelter out of, and then it got blown up and is now no longer inhabitable, so she has to find somewhere else to live, and she's really struggling to find somewhere that will allow her and her cats to be there, and she is unwilling to give up her cat shelter, so she has to find somewhere that will allow the cats. And she ends up in this shop that seems a little fishy, but she doesn't really have any other options, so she takes it, and it turns out that there's a magician living in her basement. She hates magicians after what happened with her house and some other things, and she is not happy at all. But they end up working together, and she realizes that this could be mutually beneficial for everybody, and although she hates magicians, maybe this one's different, maybe he's not as bad as everyone thinks he is. And she runs her cat shelter and helps him out of his pickle that he is in. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It was just okay for me. I am probably going to keep it for now and see if like ruminating on it makes me like it more, but it is a potential unhaul. We'll have to wait and see how I feel in a couple of months after I've thought about it more. But this edition is very beautiful. I love it a lot. This is an edition that has an error, and Owlcrate hasn't figured out how to make it right yet, So one of the pages is printed wrong. It's like a duplicate of another page, so you don't actually get that page in this book, which is why I listened to it instead of reading it physically. You can see lots of cats on the edges. Yeah, so I am probably going to hold on to it at least until Owlcrate figures out what they're doing to make this right and decide from there. I'm also wanting to get through at least the second book in the Emily Wilde series before I decide if I'm going to get rid of this, because like Heather Fawcett has the potential to become a favorite author. This one maybe just was the wrong time for me. I might have enjoyed it a lot more if I was in like a better headspace when I listened to it, or if I were to read it physically instead of having the audiobook narrator read it to me. I'm not sure. But yeah, anyways, that brings us to the end. I think I have 8 more books left. Let me do a double count really quick. I think I have 9 books left, and that's not counting the Owlcrate horror. I'm going to do those separately. Anyways, as I was saying, I think I have 9 more left, not including my horror books. I'm going to do the Owlcrate horror books in a separate video. So, I need to wrap this one up, and I'm going to try my best to get back to vlogging, get back to filming, and hopefully the next few vlogs you see won't be as scattered. I do have a couple of other vlogs that I need to finish. I need to finish reading books for them, actually, so I can't post them just yet. But hopefully they'll be done in the next couple of months so that I can move on with my life. So far, Owlcrate's doing pretty good. I think I will likely keep Owlcrate unless something goes really south with the rest of the books I have. I guess I can tell you the rest of the books I have to read. I have Water Moon, Gifted and Talented, Hemlock and Silver, The Incandescent, Violet Thistlethwaite Isn't a Villain Anymore. I can't read the whole title of that one, it's very long. I also have Foul Days, The Sins on Their Bones. Oh, I'm up to 10 actually. I have Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid that I forgot about. And then I have, I think, 2 special orders, the Slaying the Vampire Conqueror and the sequel to, I can't remember the title, but Misha's book in the Crowns of Nyasia series. So, we'll see. We'll see what I read next. I think I have the audiobook for Water Moon and Gifted and Talented and maybe The Incandescent ready for me, so those might be the next ones that I read. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you are having a good time wherever you are, or I hope you're at least surviving, and I will see you in another video soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.